It's the crazy thing. This is the least passionate I've ever seen this dog. I don't know if maybe I'm on the wrong course. First I get the lecture from Victor, and now I get the rear end of his royal houndness. He's supposed to be supportive, man. That's what a relationship's about. He's giving me the silent treatment. I'm not sweating it. I've had critics since day one. That's the fuel for the fire. I ain't scared. I'm going for it. I am always looking for new projects. I just wanted to do something that was fun. I've always been into skateboarding. Someone took me to the sand dunes once, and it just, to me, spoke that it was a skate park for cars. I got this fascination with dune buggies ever since, and I really just can't get enough of them. See this one here, these people are actually going for it in the sand. I couldn't believe any of this was real. You know, I'm looking at these magazines from the year I was born, 1970. The scene was so radically different than it is now. Maybe that's why I've been so fascinated with it, because it's stuff that I never saw it happen before me. These cars were primarily just handmade. You know, it was all about the experience. Traditional hot rodders may turn pale. Perfect. Just like hot rodding, you had every aspect of creativity. Some guys wanted to go real fast, some guys wanted a crazy look. You know, there's all kinds of experimental designs, and that's really what I dug about these old magazines. Little traditional, little classical, but like that, whoa, what is that feeling? I want to build a car directly in the line of pre-kit car off-roading. Something that's hand-built, late 60s. I just happen to have a perfect donor car for my next crazy idea. Every project I do, there's always potential parts that get sidelined. Case in point, Victor and I did this project where he wanted to build a supercar. So he shows up with this Volkswagen kit car and only uses one piece of it. Victor wasn't interested in the mechanical aspect of this car at all, so I got it running and took it for a test drive. I know Volkswagens, they're not super fast. This car really had something going. I don't know if the engine's been built up or what, but this car moved out really good. It's a 1964 Volkswagen. It is period correct. I knew it was a strong runner, and I saved a whole chassis. One of the main inspirations for getting this project going is there's an event coming up. It's called the Old School Dune Buggy Reunion, and it's at Pismo Beach. This event is themed for this late 60s beach and sand dune scene. You know, everything that would have been there is welcome back. I had gotten started on this chassis. Once I kind of got a feeling for what I wanted out of it, I had to go on the hunt for the rest of the parts. See, I'm always checking out your stashes, man, and this little fiberglass treasure trove has got me thinking. Victor is a man of many facets. One of his many facets is a lot of yards with a lot of treasure. And he's got this Model T kit car body. Picture this. The Sterling, the old Sterling chassis, it's become a hot rod. It's morphed from the glorious opening roof project to an off-road sand buggy hot rod T-bucket project. Usually when you pitch Victor an idea, he gets excited and he's like, yeah, we could do anything. And this time he's starting to draw a blank. I just see a lot of the side-to-side motion.
You just finished the supercar. Now you're gonna do a dune buggy with this, whatever you wanna call it.
This T-bucket body is exactly what I need.
I don't know, Ian, I'm not seeing it, but if you see it, then go for it.
Victor was pretty much like, yeah, do whatever you want, take the body. I don't need to know anymore. I'm like, dude, you gotta understand, this is gonna be awesome. This picture, it's sun hat on, glasses, ice cold beverage, cruising the sand dunes. I think it's gonna be perfect.
Go for it, man. I was gonna throw it away anyway.
I'm just gonna have to build this thing, you know, never mind the sales pitch. I'm gonna build this and just show him what I'm thinking, and he may just turn the corner.
You don't even need help carrying it?
No, that's what I'm saying. Ultra light, man. It's perfect. I thought I was just making like a pan buggy is what it's called. Just shortened Volkswagen pan. Then I saw this body of Victor's and it got me thinking in a whole different direction. You know, I want to build more of like a hot rod styled dune buggy. So me and numero uno, El Shop Inspector, you know, we get out the cart and we go browsing. The thing that really cemented this idea was the body from Victor. You know, I also have a bunch of old suspension parts from another project. I have a 28 Ford Roadster pickup, and I swapped out the entire front suspension. So I have a stock Model A axle, all the hubs, spindles, I have the rims. Thing is, I don't throw much away. So I'm thinking, okay, suspension, axles, gas tank. Oh, I got a couple beer kegs. Classic, fits right in. Think about that. I've used the statement a million times. My favorite thing is like the jazz player who's in it, right? They're riffing, they're experimenting as they're going through this arrangement, and that's exactly how I like to build cars. I haven't seen anything like this, and I can't wait to try it out. I got the old Sterling chassis from Victor. You know, it was a runner. I shortened it and put in a screen floor in typical old school buggy style. Thing is, after kind of ruminating on it a bit, I decide I'm only going to use a piece of it. The VW suspension is bulletproof. It's a great choice. That's why they make dune buggies out of it. But I'm not looking for a great choice. I'm looking for something different, something unique. The big departure from every other old school dune buggy is I'm not using the Volkswagen front suspension. So first thing, off with the front. All of my ideas have been leading up to this. I've just been thinking about it. Basically, I have to build it complete to see if it works. Another leap of faith. All right. Start of a great project. Whole new turn of events. In losing that Volkswagen suspension, I want to kind of lend a hot rod flavor to this. Concept for the front axle and suspension is basically Model A. Model A tie rod and components. Model A front spring. Model A hubs and spindles. You can smell it, it's very old, don't you think? It's disinterested. It's just, dune buggies don't get the passion they deserve. Look at this. He's on Victor's team. I got a piece of pipe that will be the axle, and I'm putting the spindles, kingpins, hubs, and rims of the Model A car on it. So it'll have a radius rod, basically the same formula you'd see on a hot rod front suspension, except for this. This is the trick element of this design. Typically on a car like a Model A, your leaf spring is mounted in the center on this perch, so you just have a spring action. And I mean, it does articulate a bit, but you're always flexing the spring. What this does, with these shackle bolts, this piece here goes inside it, and it allows the entire front axle to swing without putting pressure on the spring. In other words, if you're coming up on a sand dune, and this front tire lifts, it would potentially cause the rear tire to unweight and lose traction. So as you come onto the different terrain, the whole front axle swings and it leaves the two rear tires planted. That's really the one thing that sets this car apart from the rest, you know, the cool factor of, oh yeah, it looks like a hot rod, but it also does this articulating thing, which gives it traction in the sand. It's the crazy thing. This is the least passionate I've ever seen this dog. I don't know if maybe I'm on the wrong course. First I get the lecture from Victor, and now I get the rear end of his royal houndness. I guess it's hard to give the sales pitch and find any buyers, it seems. You're supposed to be supportive, man. That's what a relationship's about. It's giving me the silent treatment. I'm not sweating it. I've had critics since day one. That's the fuel for the fire. I ain't scared, I'm going for it. So this is the concept. In order for this to get attached to that, I'm gonna throw the whole chassis up on the table. That way I can square it up and measure. So now we've got the patient on the operating table. It's time to get funky. I trimmed it up a little bit to fit the Volkswagen suspension. And hey, it's a Dune buggy, you know, it can look a little chopped up. That's what I want. I want it to look like a mutant. Don't be distracted by the crusty look. This is not a rat rod. This thing is gonna shine up. The thing about this car is in shortening the chassis, the wheelbase got really shrunk up. It's purely visual, you know. Maybe if you tried it again and again, you'd come up with a formula for ultimate performance. I'm just going for the visual aspect of it. It's gotta look long and lean. Yes. Looking through my dark helmet, everything seems to be perfect. I'm using this really heavy 2-inch tube, 1/8 wall. See where I'm going with this? And I'm just trying to create a truss structure to extend the wheelbase and keep it really strong. All that noise and sparks and stuff is all led up to this. You got your pivot, check. You got your sleeve that allows clearance to the fitting, check. That goes on there, check. And then you got your thrust washer. Wrap it all together. I call this pivot a success. I mean, theoretically, this axle could swing 360. If it wasn't on the table, it could literally just go around the clock. Everything about the suspension looks great, but the one issue is I gotta figure out how to steer it. Before I go any further on the front end design, I gotta find a way to steer it. And I got an idea that just might make it work. As per the usual, we're at one of Victor's many yards. This time I spotted a gaggle of golf carts, a group of vehicles that is no longer in service. So I start doing some poking around. It's like, oh, they got like these lawnmower engines. Some of them got a lot of batteries. Oh, look, rack and pinion, club car steering. This is perfect. This is a fine piece of Americana. This is a really basic setup. You got your steering wheel here, and then you got your tie rod there. So all I have to do is adapt it to the chassis. This is an off-road car, so aside from my theory and design of that extended element, I added some structure to the front end to really beef it up. It's gonna be bashing around off-road, and I want it to stay together. The idea being a triangle is strong, so your twisting motion is always supported in every direction. So this is the golf cart steering box, the club car donation box. I'm gonna set this up like a cross steer, just because that's what this rack and pinion is designed for. My mission today is to get this thing steering by a steering wheel and on 4 tires. This was one of the things I was looking forward to at this project. I mean, who has this kind of weird contraption welded to the front of their Volkswagen? Like everything in this car, there's nowhere to mount this box. I just made a quick plate with the bolt pattern. I'm gonna stick it on there and then weld something to it. Making mutants is all my business. I'm used to this kind of stuff, so merging a Volkswagen steering shaft with a golf cart steering box and a Model A suspension, no problemo. Cut, weld, assemble. Steering box is now part of the car. What do you think? Still skeptical? I'm making progress, whether you like it or not. This is the steering column and the wheel off the Sterling. So you can see it's got that old school, funky vibe. And this is gonna have to get put in here somehow. My goal with this entire project is it's a found object art piece. That truly is how these old school buggies were made. You know, I've been doing research, all these magazines and everything. Before there were kit cars, people actually made vehicles for the sand by hand. You got steering. You know, the wheel's way up, out of shape, but I'll be able to tailor this height-wise and distance from the seat back once I get some seats. I really want to put this on the ground. Test of this design is what happens when the wheels travel. There's going to be some feedback into the steering wheel for sure. I just don't know how much until I test it. Ready to witness the greatness? Check it out. Look at that. Smooth. So not only do you have the up and down bounce, but without the bounce, you have this swivel. That's a lot of suspension travel. This is what I've been waiting to see. You know, I wanted to get these 4 wheels on the ground and see how it operates, so it is a small victory. So the idea here, you see guys with Jeeps doing this all the time. So you got articulation in the suspension, but the 2 back tires are still planted flat. You know, even at that angle, it steers well, and that's the whole thing. You're cruising on a dune, your rear's not losing traction. This is exactly what I was hoping to achieve. That's the big satisfaction about this career I've chosen. It's taking all these mixed up ideas and getting to build them and try them out. And sometimes you actually succeed. It's pretty awesome. Yes, we need seats. I understand that's next. Starting to look the part. You know, there's a few other things I need for sure. I think it's time to get back on the hunt. Decided to swing by my friend Robin's workshop. I'm really hoping to pick up some seats from him for my Dune buggy. Walking in right away, it feels like home. There's stuff everywhere. This guy's got the treasure. This looks like my kind of place. What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Man, good to see you.
It's been a while. You got stuff.
It's really great to be able to link up with Ian because we both share a love of cars and Volkswagens and weird things.
I have a couple seats, Italian car seats from the 50s.
Yeah.
They're nice. I kind of don't want to beat them up and change them.
I have a couple Italian cars from the 50s.
Right. Couldn't keep my eyes off of that.
Yeah, this is a
crazy.
56 Vespa Ape, and it's a coffee cart, and I really just fell in love with it.
Yeah,
It's
me
just-
too. That's the crazy thing. It is basically a scooter, but it's a pickup truck. And it's steel, right? Is it aluminum or steel?
It's all steel. If you could fit in this,
Oh, yeah. This is my kind of ride.
yeah.
Man, definitely cool, for sure.
I'm taking Ian around my garage, and there's just a lot of stuff that he had never seen before.
So what's this?
So if you don't fit in the 3-wheeler, the next upgrade is the 4-wheeler.
4 wheels, 2 wheels, and 3 wheels.
Yeah, if you get 2 Vespa scooters and,
Right.
and you weld them together side by side, you get
That's what you get.
yeah, Vespa 400.
The clincher for me is this 4-wheeled Vespa car. It's a micro car. And when I say micro, I can't stress that enough. I'm not even sitting in that car. Your head's already sticking out of the roof. How big were these people? Was this like from medieval times or something? Like
No,
the
these
little
are
4-foot beds?
These are Italian. Look, I'll sit in the back seat and you sit in the front seat.
Oh man, this is too cool. This is like an Ed Roth drawing, where the monster's sticking out of the car. Like that. Oh man. It's like a go-kart that he's put a Volkswagen engine in. So just like I'm building this mutant hot rod Volkswagen, he's built a mutant micro car with a Volkswagen engine.
Yeah, I had to stick some boat seats in here because I couldn't find any seats that would work.
Oh, I see.
So I'm hoping to get something
Yeah.
that's just a little bit more authentic.
You're in the same predicament I'm in. I was working on a project with Hot Rod Bob and Tom Flores, and Bob had these seats. And he's like, oh, you're building a Dune buggy, I'll never use these things, just take them. Oh, yeah.
As soon as he brought them over and stuck them inside, they fit perfectly. They were just made for that car. I couldn't believe it. I love it. I really needed those seats for my tiny Italian car I was building. So I was like, maybe we can figure something out in a trade.
Robin's up in the rafters. There's dust coming out of every corner. I don't know what he's doing up there. Whoa.
Yeah, I pulled these out of my junior high math class. These are actual Herman Miller chairs.
He's saying these are Herman Miller chairs, school chairs or something. I guess they were a mass-produced item, and now today they're collectible. Dude, these are perfect. I'm looking at these things like, this is perfect. They're very light, they're fiberglass, they've got the 60s flavor. Yeah, these I think are right for me. We just got to come to some kind of arrangement, because if they're worth a fortune.
Well, I just saw a pair like this go on eBay for $1,200.
That would make my car worth at least $1,300. These are awesome.
Are you happy with this trade?
Yes, this works for me. I need those seats and he needs them seats, and now everybody's sitting pretty.
Unbelievable. I mean, this is like the best possible case scenario for my project and hopefully for his project.
I'd say mission accomplished. These seats are a good step-off point to get the rear section of this buggy in action. I got these seats back from Robin, and they are Dune buggy seats, 100%. Not too shabby, huh? It's the weirdest thing, just like with Robin's car, the seats look one way, but then when we're in her car, it's the opposite. And this has the opposite effect. It makes this car look much bigger than it did. But the question is, do I fit? Sometimes you never know what you're getting yourself into until you just go for it. The thing I needed with this project was minimal offset of my big carcass. You know, I needed a thin fiberglass shell so I could sit back in the vehicle, and these were exactly that. What do you think? I think he's into it. The fact that the shop inspector likes him is definitely a bonus. And now I'm moving forward. Steering next, then roll bar. Brake. Typically with an off-road roll bar, you want it as strong as possible. So you make all your measurements, you fit it in, weld it. Roll bar is primarily for looks, like most of the old Dune buggies, so I could pull it off by using 2 pieces. Speed buggy roll cage. You know, it's just enough to represent off-road. Real crash scenario, I don't think any of them did much. And hey, I got nothing to lose. Take the body off, mount some seats. This is a small car, no doubt it. I just had to figure out where the steering wheel felt comfortable, so got him in there and shortened up the steering column to match me. So you got your roll bar for support, steering wheel, 1 seat. Perfect. Let's see. That's what this has all been leading up to. I want that cartoon monster feel, you know? That's the whole idea here. Big giant ape in a little car. Whoa. I knew from the jump I wanted to use a beer keg for a gas tank. Beer keg fits behind the seats perfectly. Don't need a ton of fuel in this thing. It's got a stock Volkswagen engine. That goes right into place as it should. This is exactly what would be in a vintage Dune buggy. That Sterling was a period piece. So what it is, I think it's a big bore, single port with this carb adapter. So it's probably high compression. I mean, it ripped in that Sterling. It really moved out. It's a good engine. So I think in this lighter vehicle, it's gonna be all right. The engine wasn't this nice in the Sterling. You know, the innards are what they are. I just took off all the sheet metal, cleaned it, painted it, reassembled it. So it's as it was in that car, and you could see it did some pretty hairy burnouts. I envisioned this whole car from the start having a Model A grill shell. You know, that's the whole hot rod look. Just chopped it down. I put this mesh in here. Nothing says hot rod like Model A. And basically, it sits like that. Still unimpressed. If I was building a Corvette or something, he'd probably be like, you know, dogs love Corvettes. So this is mechanically there. I could literally hook up a battery and some cables and brake hoses and drive it. But cosmetically, it's not what I need. I need something that's just like, pow, you know. I like the funky style. You know, I want it to be like, whoa, nobody looks past it. So that's the challenge. You know, black car, red rims, everybody's seen it. I gotta get to thinking. Like almost everything I do, there's no way to figure out if it's gonna work or not without just doing it. So it's time to get busy. Fleshing this thing out, getting some paint in place, I decided white was just a really clean look. Color says everything about a vehicle. You know, this is a good time, fun toy. It's not like a scary looking mean machine. You could really give the vehicle different flavor with a different color. I want that light reflectivity of a white base coat, something that really is blinding in the sunlight. In addition to some of this stuff. I called Little Daddy Roth. He's hooked me up with a lot of metal flake for different projects. And he has this new stuff called Snowblind White. White dune buggy, white metal flake. What could improve on that? Some of this. This is glow in the dark, top secret. Something about the late 60s, early 70s, you know, you had this like monster fed, cartoon monster stuff. I remember like glow in the dark model kits were a huge thing. I want the car to reflect that time period. So, you know, I'm thinking, I have not seen a glow in the dark dune buggy. This might be the next big thing. Every time I've used metal flake with auto paint, I just mix up about a half a cup and then I pour the stuff in there. How much do I put in? I don't know. I'm gonna dump a lot in there. Oh man, that's fantastic. And I'm gonna put a lot of this in. Because this hopefully will change the color to more of this eerie glow yellow tone. Do I need that much glow? I don't know. I don't want to have not enough. Like almost everything I do, there's no way to figure out if it's gonna work or not without just doing it. So I'm gonna paint up a couple parts and test it out. So it has the effect I was hoping for. You can see it's like a frosted effect, and I'm gonna bury all this in clear, of course. This is just the first application. The thing I wasn't sure of, but I'm very excited about, is the glow green. It's still white, but it has like this greenish aura coming off of it. My theory from the start was that it looks pretty mellow during the day, but at night, it's party time. The only way to test it is put that rim in the dark room and see if it worked. One thing I know is when I turn the lights off, that bottle of stuff glowed. But once you mix it with paint and put it on something, I just don't know if that is going to still happen. So this is the test. This is what it looks like in the daytime. And that's what it looks like at night. That is totally cool. It's a glowing Model A rim. It's exactly what I had hoped for. It's like a ghost ship going over the sand dunes. That's what this whole design is, you know? It's just one crazy idea after the other, you know? It's not a performance car, it's a party machine. This is better than I expected. Instead of doing a test plate, I just sprayed the whole chassis and rims. So it's kind of a gamble, but it paid off. It's a glow-in-the-dark dune buggy. Getting this accomplished glow-in-the-dark effect is gonna kick this paint job off. This one's a hit. You just gotta top it with that bodywork. It's time to get to it. Just like the chassis, I put a white base coat on this body. Primary reason for this white base coat is anything can go over it. I want kind of a classic pinstriped look, so it's not too technical, it's just a lot of layout. One thing I know is that dog is just here to be the critic, you know? I gotta prove it the whole way through, apparently, on this, not even small victories thus far. As crazy as the car is in its fabrication, I want like a classy vintage look. If you look at the early Model Ts, they would have this pinstripe deal around the body edges and the door, and I'm just trying to reflect on that. Pinstriper came in, he would probably follow certain lines on the body. Like you see these embossed areas around the doors, around the top of the body. Pinstriper would try to highlight all those. So I'm just gonna start by surrounding them with a tape line and see what it offers. It's not like I'm making the paint glow in the dark or anything like that. It's just a very conservative tape job. I want this to be a simple pinstripe design, but something about that really thin one line just wasn't holding the weight I wanted. I wanted to have kind of like a panel theme. There's like these boxes down the vehicle in different shapes. Basically everything that gets masked stays white. So we have white, fat, white, skinny. And then I think I might have to put another border inside or outside. It's kind of challenging in that when you're taping out something, you're taping out the negative of it. So dyslexia could interfere especially if you're doing multiple sized lines, etc. So you can see what I'm painting is actually pretty small, but that's how much tape you have to do if you want that. It's a little challenging. You got to sit back and kind of reflect on what's actually going to be painted and what's going to be masked. So I'm just thinking what I want white. And I know I definitely want that top ridge of the body and all those embossed lines to be white. So I'm gonna mask all that stuff off first. The whole thing is the majority of this car will be masked simply because it's gonna remain white. So what I'm doing here, I've decided it's gonna have 2 candy green pinstripes. This very thin white section here is a stripe, and this thick section here, so the center of these panels will be masked. So you'll have a heavy one with a nice round corner and like a tight little outline. Probably would be easy enough to just pinstripe this line, but I'm not a pinstriper, that's why I'm taping the heck out of it. So as long as the tape looks okay to your critical eye, I'm gonna spray this thing. I'm just gonna mix up some of this candy green I got from Eastwood. So looking at the value of this green, it's very green. I don't know what it's gonna look like on white. Well, wait a second, yes I do. So that's very thick for paint, for spray, but it's gonna be somewhere like that. One thing I know is that Dune buggies sparkle. I'm gonna use this Little Daddy Roth metal flake all over the car. The green's a nice color, but I think with a little action in it, it's gonna be even better. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. The thing about this is once you spray it, it's a lot of work to go backwards, you know? Especially putting a pigment over white, you'd have to sand the thing back and start over, so you don't know what it looks like until you pull off the masking paper. Paint is applied. We gotta pull off the mask to see what it looks like. The good news is the shop inspector seems to have come around. He's taking a position of relaxation right up against the project. So it's cured for 24 hours. Nice candy coated metal flake thing. I don't really know what this is gonna look like, so if I did, I may leave some tape in place, but I'm going to choose to pull all the tape, see if it's good enough. I've made a couple pretty hairy mistakes in paintwork in the past, so it's like, I never know what it's gonna look like until I'm pulling it off. It's like opening a mystery gift basket. This was the debate in my head from the start. You know, the green could have taken over. It could have been a green car. Pulling the mask off, you see, it's a nice white Model T body with this sort of classic dual stripe. The thing I'm trying to do with this is like keep it lighthearted, you know? It's not like a badass, nasty hot rod. It's a beach buggy. Sunny day at the beach, you know? What looks cool? What looks like a fun thing to do? This car. The whole thing I was going for with this was like following the lines of the car. So like a vintage pinstripe would simply be around the contour of the body. And that's what you get. Double line, one fat, one skinny. Surprise, surprise, pulling this tape off, it's happening. You like it? Stepping back and looking at it, I really like the way it came out. I think it just needs one more thing. Dune buggies sparkle. I had a Roadster pickup truck years ago, tried some gold, didn't work out. Round 2, here we go. Tried this gold thing before and it hasn't worked out in my favor, so, you know, hopefully time heals all wounds, you know, I'm a little more mature now. This time I might be able to pull it off. It's the whole thing with the gold car, you know, it's here I am again with this gold flake and I'm just gonna dust it on the car until it looks right. The challenge here is to be subtle and less, you know, more Elvis, less Liberace. Progress-wise, everything's really fleshing out. You know, the paint scheme is looking good. All the fabrication is basically complete. It's all about getting this whole setup to the event. You know, building's fun, cruising this thing's gonna be even cooler. Well, we made it. The old school Dune buggy reunion is in effect. Pulling in here, the reunion is well underway and the parade is about to start. And I'm just totally checking out every different style of machine I could ever imagine. Some of them right out of Mad Max. Then you have like your standard Dune buggies. Manx style stuff. Totally cool. I mean, that's the thing, it's a slow speed cruise, so you really get to check out all the rides. And what I'm seeing is every car's unique. A lot of really old hand-built stuff. You got your sloppy jalopies, you got your super cool sand rails, and then these crazy water pumper things, which are like the full modified wild customs of the show. That's the first Myers Manx, the first ever. The parade is just the kickoff of the show. It's like, you know, the marching band coming into town. Number one about the car is first impression, right? It's got that cartoon, old school hot rod vibe. The paddle tires take it to the next level. You know, I got to think pinstriped, it's looking good, it's all polished out. I met up with Court. He's the main guy that runs this event.
People are really excited about seeing this car. You did a fantastic job. Adding the body to it just makes this so unique. It just has this unique, complete retro vibe with this kind of hot rod thing thrown on it. And it just, it's a really cool buggy. Can you tell me just a little bit about this paint? Because it looks, at first you'd think it's been out in the sand.
Right.
Right?
That was the idea. Court was really responding to the paint job. You know, I had my idea of what it was going to look like, but him coming in, you know, fresh to it, he's like, this almost looks like the sparkling sands of a beach. It's like a white flake, and then I used a gold flake. So when you're looking at it, it looks like the beach.
It does, it does, it totally does.
I saw his car years ago and was so inspired by it. That was the basis for me for creating this pan buggy in that style. When you get up next to it, you know, you can feel the history. You see the way his car is set up with the Model T steering and all the 60s vibe in the build characteristics.
So this is my dad's car. He was the original owner. It was built in 1967, 68, so it's a 50-year-old car. The original roll bar were stainless steel swimming pool handrails.
Awesome.
Okay.
When I heard that story, I was like, primo. That's where I'm coming from.
All these buggies from the 50s and 60s were home built, much like you did, right?
With all old parts.
Yeah.
I saw your car in Hot VW's magazine years ago, and I wanted to build something styled after your front suspension.
Yeah, how did the front suspension work out for you?
It works great. The thing about this suspension design in Court's and my car is that it is specifically designed for these tight sand dunes. The only way I can describe this place, it's like a skate park for cars. If you see any skateboarders on TV in a big concrete jungle, that's what this is, but it's a sand skate park for cars. I've been to the sand dunes before with different cars, but I've never experienced the authentic old school buggy ride. There's sand in your teeth. I should have brought goggles. The car's ripping it though. It's a wild ride. I'm having a great time. This is one thing I've always wanted to do. I mean, it's very satisfying. I've had a couple other buggies, but this one exceeds the thrill factor of the others. It's totally cool. Talking with Court, he starts telling me about the history of the event.
What's really cool about this event is it is a celebration of the origin and the older dune buggies, but it's open to all dune buggies, everybody to celebrate it. It doesn't matter whether it's from the 50s or whether it's a modern sand car. What draws people here is one, a connection to their past and their families, and they can bring their whole family. And of course, it's all kind of encapsulated around the buggy, but when you actually talk to people around here, it's about the connection to their friends and family.
Yeah, to get outside, some antique vehicles, and camp out, the whole experience, it's like be something you don't see typically. It's a really unique location to be able to drive on the beach especially. Having the meet and greet, chatting with Court, and Bruce Myers walks up.
You know who that is?
Yeah, the guy that started it all. Right on. That's awesome. For those that don't know, Bruce is the guy that invented the Myers Manx. He is deep into the roots of this dune buggy fad. So way back in the day, I think it was 1964, he created the first fiberglass buggy body kit. I was born when it was all happening, and those cars, there was the one that started it all, the whole fiberglass buggy craze. The thing I was digging most about this guy is I think our brainwaves are kind of vibing, you know?
You got to break the rules. See, and that's what it is. It's a little bit of the thumbing of the nose
Yes.
of traditions.
Love that.
And everybody wants to do that because we all want to break a rule if we don't get caught.
Yeah.
His statement about why he did this was that the car was all about being creative, you know, doing your own thing, not driving within the lines, you know, no conformity. This is a fun vehicle to get out of society and just be you.
Did you create the top on this?
Yeah, I built the top. Yeah.
It's metal, is it?
It's metal and vinyl stretched over it, yeah. It's just a little hoop frame, so you can see it. To get in and out, you know, that's the look I seen on Quart's website, but to get in and out of the car, I just hinged it. So when you shut it, you just put a hitch pin right through there to keep it locked.
Wow.
When I trailer it on the freeway, I just take the roof right off.
Okay.
But for around here, 10 miles, it's like you just put it in the truck, you just take it and slide it off, like that.
Holy cow.
While we're here also, one of the guys from Hot VW's magazine is here. And if you're in the Volkswagen world, you know that is the pinnacle of what's going on in the VW scene. And I've been trying to get in there since 1985. Since my first car, I've been submitting to Hot VW's magazine. And here I am, a wretched old man, and I build a mutant T-bucket Volkswagen, and finally, he wants to do a photo shoot.
We can do the photo shooting for the magazine, so my name is Shin.
My name's Ian. Yeah, we'll be here till tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, good, very cool.
Thanks. Paint job worked out great. The car does glow. I didn't want to drive it at night. It's still a little sketchy, so, you know, mission accomplished on that. It looks great in the daytime. It's got the metal flake, and at night, it's glowing in the dark.